Alright, welcome back. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben Schubert. I am a filmmaker. I talk about film stuff, gear, techniques, story, that sort of thing. So last year I did a video about my editing suite, building it out, upgrading it. Now what I think is interesting about my editing suite is that it's not the newest, flashiest piece of gear. It's a 2009 MacPro. This thing is 11 years old now. And it is a beast. Like, it still works real hard. And so the question is, does the 2009 4.1, 5.1 MacPro still make sense for video editors in 2020? Short answer, yes. Long answer, it's hard to say. Depends on your needs. For me, we're gonna talk a bit about my needs for video editing and how this computer helps my workflow. So this big old cheese grater may not seem like the most cutting edge thing, but this thing still is great for cutting video, especially with the upgrades that I have made and the upgrades that I'm planning on making. This thing still does wonders. So this thing has 12 cores. Each of those does 3.9 something megahertz, something fast. It's decent. Newer processors, yeah, the single core speeds are a lot faster than this, but the 12 core and on applications that can actually take use of that, it's really helpful. So one of the benefits of having 12 cores is that, say, Adobe Premiere. The warp stabilizer is a single core effect, meaning that it doesn't take advantage of the GPU and only uses one core at a time, which is annoying if you're only using, say, a quad core computer. But having 12 cores means that you can do multiple clips at once, and that saves you time on that end. Personally, I would prefer it if that was a GPU run effect, but that's just the way it is. That's also one of the reasons why I'm starting to do more and more things in DaVinci Resolve. Now, RAM is one of those things where, honestly, even editing 4K, like, I don't use a ton of RAM. I've got 64 gigs of RAM in here. It does go up to 128. But 64 is more than enough, and I never seem to max out on it. So, and in fact, I think I would actually get better speeds if I went down to 48, because the Mac Pro does this thing called triple channel memory, which means that if you have multiples of 3, you get better results than having any other multiples. So I would be better off using 3 sticks of 16 gig RAM then I guess right now I'm using 4. So that's something that I might do, but I'm pretty lazy, so I probably won't even touch it. I guess the next pro is that storage. So for video editing, storage is a big part of my needs for editing, because I put all my video footage onto hard drives, and I don't want to use external hard drives anymore, and I also don't want to build out a RAID system that'll cost me like several grand. But the Mac Pro has 4 internal SATA drive bays, and it has 2 extra SATA connections where the DVD player, reader, recorder, writer thing is. So that's actually 6 options for SATA, which, you know, gives me tons of room to essentially build out an internal RAID. So currently for hard drives, I have one 1 terabyte SSD, which I have as my boot disk, and I also do editing off of that. I have one 4 terabyte hard drive, which I use for backups for work projects. And then I also have 2 8 terabyte hard drives that is split up between work projects and then backups for this YouTube stuff. So I have a total of 21 terabytes going at any one time. For backups and safeties, I can just put in hard drives, pull out hard drives. I've got another hard drive reader for if I want to like go look at an old project, I can put back in an old hard drive and look at that. But my point is there's a huge possibility to build out my drive capabilities. So currently for my GPU, I'm just using a Radeon RX 580, 8GB. It's not the fastest GPU. It's certainly not the most expensive. They're actually quite cheap right now. They're like 150 bucks or something, but it's great. It actually handles like way more than I would have expected. Now another pro, and this kind of gets into like the pro con territory, is that there isn't Thunderbolt 3, but there are people working on that. So people have figured out a way to get Thunderbolt 3 working on this. I actually have everything I need to do that project, and we're gonna see how successful that goes. So Bluetooth is actually something that this computer has all the parts for. I've set it up, but I really have not even bothered to get into it. I do everything hardwired. I have for years. I'm probably gonna do the Bluetooth at some point. I'll do it. I have everything set up. I just need to go through the process of doing it. It probably won't even take me long. So another pro, depending on how you feel about these sorts of things, is it's a fun project. It's really interesting to know how your computer works, to be able to like take things apart, fix it. If you have something come up, you can actually address it. That's a really interesting part about this that I really see as a pro. And as a video editor, you kind of really need everything to work, but you also need to know how to fix things and troubleshoot when things go wrong. Last thing on my pro list is really just the price. The price was one of the biggest things that got me going towards this. So originally I was actually looking at getting the new MacPro, and around the time that it was announced, I was like, oh, that's really good. I could make it work, but do I want to? And those old Mac Pros, they're still awesome. They still have life. They're still doing stuff. And then I thought, they still have life and they're still doing stuff. I could just do that. And so instead of spending the like 7 grand Canadian on a new 2020 Mac Pro, I spent 1,200 Canadian, which is probably like 1,000 US, on a 2009 Mac Pro. And with my setup, it's almost on par with the current 2020 base model Mac Pro. And this computer still has room for upgrades. I'm really excited about doing those upgrades, and I think I'm going to do a series about doing them in my phase 2 project of the Mac Pro. So here's some of the cons, some of the things that like have really stood out that I haven't loved about the 2009 Mac Pro. So for one, Mojave was the last OS that's officially supported with this Mac Pro. So officially, Apple has said, we're not working on it anymore past there. That being said, there's still workarounds. There's still people working on getting the new OSSs working. There's lots of people who are on Catalina. It's not a big deal, but it does mean that not everything works, not everything is supported. And so it doesn't have that same easy plug and play atmosphere that, you know, a newer Mac has. This computer isn't the fastest anymore. You can definitely get a new Mac Pro and build those out, but even things like the Mac Minis are getting as fast as this Mac Pro. And a Mac Mini with an external GPU and external RAID systems can, you can do a lot with that. And a lot of Thunderbolt enclosures, not only do they do external GPUs, but they also include an extra PCI slot, which you can do NVMe RAIDs. So that's definitely an option for people if that's something you want to look at and you don't want to deal with these old Mac Pros. Another con is the Thunderbolt 3. Just the fact that it's not easy and I have to go through a process, and it's like a bit of a process to like get the new card to work. It is not plug and play. So that's something I have to look at and work at. But again, the price and the project really make it worthwhile. So to this day, I haven't put in a lot of money to this computer. The next set of upgrades I'm going to do are probably going to be more than I spent on this machine as it is, but those upgrades I'll be able to take into my next machine and my next editing suite. So I think they'll be worth it. So if this video has been helpful to you, give it a thumbs up. and subscribe and follow along. And if there's anything that you have questions for the MacPro and how it works for editing, just like leave them down in the comments. All right, I'll talk to you later.